What's going on, Luca Nation? I'm excited for today's episode, but I'm not going to lie to you. I am running on fumes. And there's banging above me, so that's not going to help. But I hope today's going to be a valuable episode because I certainly think it's going to be.
You know what you need to do? Look, I got a
What's
Hershey
that?
Kiss here. A little chocolate, a little Hershey Kiss. Right? And now you got to go find yourself one of these. See what this is? Listen, Luca Nation. You hear that? That is the sound of a fresh 2-liter bottle of Coke Zero. Caffeination to get you through the latter part of your day, my friend. This is what you need. You need to caffeinate yourself. Let's rock.
Let's rock.
I'm going to send you to the undisclosed location in Mexico a whole bunch of soda. I'm going to get you on this kombucha stuff. It's just not getting you through the day, man. So this is the stuff right here. Wow, that's some banging right there. That is some banging. I like it.
It just started.
This is going to be my new favorite episode. This is my new favorite episode. Because the audio issues are not mine.
They're on my end. We did something cool today with HGA. So as you guys know, HGA is our sponsor, and they have a queue system similar to Top Shot. So what's going to happen is next queue you're in, you might see Cage's beautiful face and my mug and Irving Fryer, the former 1984 first pick in the NFL draft.
Are we allowed to break this?
Why not?
I don't know. That's cool. I mean, it's all good. Yeah, it's not actually broken because Tyler already put it out there on Twitter. So it's not like we're breaking any rules or anything. But I just love giving you a hard time. And if you're watching on YouTube, get a load of Andrew's face when I said, "Are we allowed to break this?" He's like, "Uh-oh." That was awesome.
Now, I wanted to do something. I think this is going to be fun. So we're all worried about the state of the hobby.
Yep.
Okay, but let me just give you guys some numbers here. Okay, Loop App today received $12 million in funding. Okay, wow. DJ Ski, Nat Turner, Starstock has I think 5 million. I don't want to quote the numbers in funding from Andreessen Horowitz, Trey Young, Justin Can, who's the founder of Twitch. Only All has 31 million in funding from Kevin Durant and Alex O'Hanahan. Rally. 17 million in funding and more funding on Series A from Axel Partners and also Alex O'Hanahan. Collectible, $5 million in funding from Bain Capital and the Pomp Brothers. Just this year, we've had a $5.2 million Mickey Mantle sale. We had a $4 million Luka Logo Man sale. We had a $3 million Tom Brady sale. We have content creators in this space. Peter Pacman, I don't know if you guys saw, he dropped kind of a pretty fire beat and rhyme today. I don't know if you saw that. We have the Crossover Show. We have Brett McGrath, the hobby philosopher. We have Card Talk. We have Don Diego. We have Shyway Vlogs. We have all of these amazing things happening in the hobby. And I'm curious, when I say all of those things, does that give you a little confidence in that we're in good hands and that we're still in the early stages?
No.
No? Why would these companies why would these smart people, smart investors be investing money in companies if they thought it was the final stretch?
Because they're all people who have not been in this hobby, and they think that it's a train that's going to run forever.
I think it's a train that just took off.
Maybe. Can I tell you what I was thinking today? Because I love it. I love your optimism, and look, I try to bring positivity to this stuff, right? And I do. I hope that tangible cards, break away from the other stuff, and all the stuff you just talked about. They are really ways to do the tangible asset. Cards have been around for a while, and they are they're a tried and true, proven asset class. So maybe I was a little rash with my reaction there, right? I mean, these folks, they obviously know what they're doing by putting it into companies, investing their money into companies that are now dealing with and trying to work in an already established asset class. I think I don't want to call it fire today, my venom today, my thought process is more of it's related to the tangential nature of it, right? It's related to the other assets that are out there, the cryptos, the Top Shots, the NFTs, the apes, all these fun things. And I guess also that applies to the hobby over like the last year, right? So these people who are getting in, they're smart enough to know that a good market return is 20% year over year. And then you're Warren Buffett and you're beating the market, right? The vast majority of people who have gotten into the hobby over the last year are expecting 3x a month. You know, they want 300% month over month. They don't want 20% a year. That's slow, right? So when we talk about the train has just left the station, you're right from a perspective of these institutional investors who are getting in seeking alpha and will be happy with year over year growth of 20, 25% because that beats the market, right? It beats the traditional year over year markets. It might not beat last year's market, but it beats traditional year over year markets. I think a lot of people who are in the hobby now will not last for those type of paltry returns by comparison to what they've seen. And what I've seen is a very fickle, I think I've used that word a couple times, a very fickle fan base. And I guess my concern, if I were doing the deck for these people investing money, it's great that you have the user base you have now, right? But do you expect a significant portion of that user base to lose when it's back to the traditional investors who are in the hobby, who were here 2 years ago, and not just the ones who showed up now because they were seeing that huge return, and then when that return was they moved from one part of it to the next. They're not like actual, participants in this asset class. They were people who tried to make their money in vintage basketball. They jumped to modern basketball. They jumped to Pokemon. They jumped to tennis and golf. They jumped to F1 now. They'll jump to something else going forward. It's the same people who were in Top Shot and jumped to Zed Horses and now have jumped to Bored Apes Yacht Club or whatever it is that's going to be the next NFT, going forward, VFriends or whatever it is. And they're in VFriends and then they'll jump to something else. And the whole thing just kind of falls apart. I guess I'm just concerned that the market participants that have jumped into cards, I don't know whether or not they have longevity. And a lot of the investments in these platforms, right? The platforms is what people are putting their money into. They're based on that user base, right? They're based on market participants.
Cage.
Yeah, please.
We spoke with Irvin Fryer today, and I was like, wow, this guy's a number one pick in the NFL draft. And you were talking about how during those days there was the USFL. Did I say that right?
Yep, 100%.
Yes. This is 37 years ago. So think about how recent we've been to the sports, like the NFL not even being a big thing. Think about how recent it was that boxing was the number one sport in sports, and then Michael Jordan came around, and basketball became the thing. It's not that sports fans who stopped being interested in boxing weren't NBA fans. My point is, this is so young. The stock market has been around for years, hundreds of years almost. More.
Yeah, way more.
Right. But isn't that amazing?
Yeah, of course.
Imagine
but cards have been around for a long time too. But cards have not seen a run like this. Cards they've seen runs, but they've not seen the craziness that has been here for the last 18 months or 2 years. I don't think you could find another 18-month period where the values of cards appreciated the way that they did percentage-wise in the history of the asset class.
I agree. And I mean, I don't know when NASDAQ and the New York Stock Exchange and Dow and all that stuff was formed, but I imagine it wasn't all formed in the first day of when the stock exchange formed.
Yeah, of course.
It took time. Mm-hmm. And investment in companies allows for the space to improve, allows for the companies to have the companies could go ahead and acquire customers that may have never seen this space. So I think when you see funding pouring into different companies, that's a healthy sign for the market. Maybe that doesn't mean that we're going to see the astronomical returns we've seen in 2020. Maybe we won't see that again. But I don't think just astronomical returns are the only thing to show a health of a market. I would actually say business growth is a better indicator of an industry growing and funding going into that space.
So possibly, and this is where I maybe will agree, maybe we'll find some common ground. If we're saying that these companies are coming in because now what they've shown is that this is a space that can grow, that can attract a large user base. And even if they lose some of them and they can establish a more constant and steady growth over time in this space, that's a smart place to put their money. I'd buy that in a second. I think that's probably, we've gone through this price discovery and a lot of these things. I think that's probably, people have asked, what inning are we in, right? Well, let's change that. What if this is really a never-ending game? And we're not in a 9-inning game, but maybe we're at the second chapter of the never-ending story. And that chapter 1 was that huge price discovery, right? That we were, these assets that have been underappreciated, maybe they got a little overappreciated, and now we're figuring it out. And the next chapter 2 through 12, are going to be steady increases as an asset, the same way a stock would be,
I think so. Like, let me give you an example. I
love
gold,
examples.
cinnamon, spice, pepper. That was traded on the Silk Road thousands of years ago. When Pablo Escobar was becoming the drug kingpin of the world, he was collecting art, Cage. He had like $1 million Warhol hung up in his El Catedral, which was like his prison house. So this is an asset class. I mean, if we talk about cards as art, and I think we should, and I think there's clearly a ton of overlap, this is a never-ending game. I think people have been collecting for as long as time. I think it's an innate quality of human beings to want to collect things to signal. I like this. I like that. I'm interested in this. I'm interested in that. We've always signaled. So I agree with you. I think it's a never-ending game personally.
Well,
and seeing successful people and money pour in.
Then. I'm happy to be a participant in it then. Very happy.
I just wanted to share my thoughts. I know that they're not always the most organized, but this is just like, I wanted to come at it from a different angle today.
No, listen, I love it. I mean, and you're right. And it's positivity, right? So, and I love the positive angle. I love this, it's facts, right? And you're being positive about the segment here, this sector, because people are investing in it. And that's always a good thing. It really is. It means that the traditional funding, which would normally go into other types of businesses and wouldn't find its way into a golden auctions per se, right, is now looking at this as a legitimate investment, which is great. I mean, cards have been huge at other points in time. In my life, I've seen those CNBC articles about invest in baseball cards. Like, I definitely have seen that many, many times. Like, cards are going to be the next thing. Cards have outpaced the S&P this year. I've seen that before. No, again, not to this extent. But the fact that now people are buying into it as a long-term alternative, I think it's a cool thing. It's nice to be a part of it. I guess my role in this one is to be, let's call it tempering the enthusiasm slightly. Sure. And to tell the audience, my take is, it's a great thing. This money's coming. It's a great thing to have all this content that's coming out there and people being funded and all that other fun stuff. But that doesn't mean prices are going to continue on an uptrend to the moon. Like, that doesn't mean let's run on hodl and, to the moon, like we've had some euphoria in the space, right? And it brings back to it was yesterday or the day before where I was like, where are all these funds, right? Where are all the people who are buying all these cards? Like, where are all the people putting all this money in, right? Because now the cards have kind of taken a little bit of a dip. And I think maybe we will see those funds, or maybe the funds have decided that instead of investing in the cards themselves, they invest in the platforms, the contents, the businesses that are working to make this space better.
Cage, how many businesses were around in the sports hobby in like 2005?
Oh, not a lot in 2005. Although 2005 was not a horrible time because LeBron stuff was still, 2003 LeBron.
BGS, PSA, SGC. You had Upper Deck. You had Panini. You had Topps. That's it, right? Like, were there any other?
Not as mass producers now, but businesses, it's a different type of thing, right? So I mean, like, at different times, there were more card stores. There were more local card shops. You know what I mean? Than there are now. I mean, there were stores in the city. I mean, I used to go into Manhattan. There was a really cool card store downtown Manhattan, right by Wall Street. A lot of Wall Street guys used to go in and buy stuff, and that's not there anymore. But now
it was a comic place too, right? There was comics in there.
Cards and Comics. Chameleon was the name of it. Actually, I don't know if anybody remembers going there. It's a pretty cool store. But there were a couple, and even in my town, there were card stores that just popped up all over the place. Which I got to tell you something. It's funny. It's happening again. Like, I went to a card show recently. You guys remember I went maybe 2 weeks ago, And people were handing out cards at their table saying, "I'm going to open up a store. My LCS is going to open next month. Here's where we're going to be. We're going to be in this town. Like there's going to be more LCSs." So that is another kind of thing that you're talking about.
Ryan Card Collector opened up a bigger shop. Mark's Cards opened up a bigger shop. There's a changing of the tide. Some of these old LCSs, they did business a different way. And LCS
our pal Mealy Pops.
Mealy Pops, there's another one. LCS that has a YouTube channel that does live breaks, that's utilizing all the technology at their disposal. I think they're going to have a lot of success.
There we go. Listen, I am hopeful because I love this space, right? And I've never seen a time like this where influencers and big money and celebrities are in it. And, people, here's the rock card, let's put it up on the table. Here's this card. And, and here's what's different, though. Even when I was younger and cards got big, all right, and cards were coming back into the mainstream, it was never cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool now. It's part of culture. You know what I mean? It is part of what people flex, right? That was never the case. And so when you layer in this social media, the internet, all these apps that are helping breakers do their stuff and share the cards that people are pulling, making it easier to buy cards, you name it. It's just it's a completely different time for the asset class. I love it, man. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to rain on the parade. It's great.
You didn't.
I
don't think I didn't. Right, I didn't feel that you've rained on the parade. And guys, I'm sure there's a ton of content creator and businesses I missed. I try to get as many as I can, but today I was having fun. I was just like, I tried to, whenever I'm not in a rut, but if I'm not feeling great mentally about something, I try to look from a different lens, right? Perspective is everything. And I was like, wow, look at all of these people that are in it for different reasons than just appreciation of a card. We have all these content creators. Peter Pac-Man and the guy and his boys. They made a beat with a rhyme. It was a sick track. I don't know if you had a chance to listen to it. It's just cool to see people having fun in other ways than just, oh, this card needs to appreciate 5x in the last month. You want to do a little quick? Would you rather? I have 7 on here.
Sure.
Okay.
You have 7. You mean like from the audience or from you?
From me.
Nice. A little cool segment, a would you rather segment. Great. Don't get too filthy on me now.
Drew Bledsoe or Rich Gannon?
Would I rather what? Collect them? Or
this is all collecting.
Go for a romp in the hay with them, I mean, Rich Gannon, the Sig-Ep Cannon out of Delaware. I mean, he might be fun.
This is just from a collector standpoint.
Washington State for Bledsoe. Who would I rather collect? I have collected the hell out of Bledsoe. I have more Bledsoe cards than any human being should have, and it is sad because, he never turned into Tom Brady. Tom Brady did. Otherwise, I would be too rich to hang out with the likes of you. So, so here's the. I'm gonna go with Bledsoe, man. I think I may even add to my Bledsoe collection because it's fun. I enjoy it. And in '93, when he was a rookie, there was some really cool cards. There really were. So.
Charmander, Squirtle, or Bulbasaur?
Charmander, Squirtle, or Bulbasaur? I think I'm going to go with Charmander. I think I go with, evolve into Charizard. It's a fire. I'm a fiery person. So I think I'm going to go with the fiery side.
You run hot. You run hot.
I run hot. Exactly.
Green Goblin or Venom?
Venom. All 7 days of the week. Give me 3 or 4 times on Sunday. Forget about it. Venom. Green Goblin. Like, that dude throws pumpkins. It's weird. He's only cool on Halloween. Venom's awesome because he's like a bad guy but a good guy, and he's got a cool voice, right? Like you watch those movies. I could do a Venom voice. I could definitely do it. Eddie Brock. Eminem did a song about him. Do you ever hear Eminem or any rapper do a song about the Green Goblin? No. The answer is no.
Spider-Man or Thor?
Spider-Man or Thor? I'm gonna go with Spider-Man, man. Spider-Man's the original. Thor. Thor comes close to Spider-Man when he's fat Thor. You know, in the Avengers movies where he's like fat, they make him a fat guy and he's drinking beer and stuff. And Fat Thor was fun. I enjoyed Fat Thor, but Spider-Man's an original. Spider-Man's awesome. Plus, he's a New Yorker. I mean, where's Thor from? Asgard or something like that? I don't know.
If TNT made a card, Shaq or Charles Barkley?
If TNT made a card, it better be a duel because those guys are hilarious. But I'm a Shaq over a Barkley. I like Barkley, the round mound of rebound. He was a lot of fun, Barkley. But Shaq, you know, when Shaq came in, man, to me, that guy changed the way the game was played. Like, they had to foul him before he shot everything. It was like what you saw with Ben Simmons as like a gag. That was like every game for Shaq. It was the hack of Shaq. I mean, he changed. He forced teams. It was like a shift. You know, you watch the shift now. Teams had to shift. They had to shift on Shaq and just foul him. So I'm going with Shaq. Shaq's fun.
Joel Embiid or Joker?
Ooh. You know, both of these guys have had some recent success, right? I think I might go with Embiid. And only because I've seen like a funny side of him. I think Joker probably has that too. But like that Embiid, like don't make, you know, see the commercial where he like those they're making like memes about him and stuff like that. And he throws it into a fish tank. Like, I'll take that, right? I think they're pretty much even from a collectability standpoint. Both big men, little interesting. People don't really buy into either one of them. I think I'm gonna go with Embiid just because he seems like I think I'd rather have a beer with him than Joker.
Giannis or Ben Simmons?
Giannis.
Booker or Spider Mitchell?
Ooh, these are good. I'm gonna go with Booker. I'll collect Booker because I have a feeling his cards will always sell for more because if they start to dip a little bit, the Kardashians will just buy them all. No, so good. Isn't he dating? Isn't he dating one of those? Is he dating like one of the Jenners? I think.
Remember when I said the comment about James Harden's taste in women, and I got so much hate mail about dating bald women? I'm no longer touching on the subject of NBA players' girlfriends.
Well, I think it's news. I mean, I think it's like an actual fact. I'm pretty sure Devin Booker is with one of the Jenners. I think. All right, whatever. If people want to come at me for that for some reason, go right ahead. More than likely, you're
right because you're in touch with culture.
Yes, I try.
You are culture.
I am. I make culture.
You are synonymous. Yes. Satchel Paige or Jackie Robinson?
Satchel Paige.
I knew you were going to say that.
Satchel Paige.
All right.
Dude, the guy pitched. He was 176 years old when he pitched.
I'm going to share my screen because today's play I think is hilarious. I was looking for plays for you guys. Marvel, Pokemon. I wanted to do something a little fun. And somehow I stumbled upon this card. Okay? Ooh. It's from the 1994 Flair Marvel Universe. Okay? So let me repeat that. 1994 Flair Marvel Universe.
That's some cool cards. What? Dude, you're going to give me a hard time about saying that Devin Booker's dating one of the Jenners and you got this smut? What is this?
So this is no joke. I think this is hilarious.
What is it?
It's the 1994 Flair 94 Mary Jane card number 24 too, which is I love that number too because of Kobe. This card is hilarious, but the whole set is cool. Like the photos on this set, whether it's Mary Jane, which I think is hilarious, or Wolverine, or whatever it is.
Before you do, I need you to describe that card for those of us just tuning in on audio. Tell the folks what that card looks like.
It looks like Shakira with red hair.
And what is Shakira Mary Jane wearing?
She's wearing a bikini.
Yes, this is a it's like a swimsuit edition card. Yeah.
If we're really honest, by 2021 edition, by 2021 standards, her bikini is actually not showing enough cleavage. So now girls walk around with barely anything on.
God,
that's not. What do you?
People are coming to cancel you as soon as this airs. I'm just telling you right now.
People aren't coming to cancel. If you're going to love this play, they're going to think it's hilarious.
You're going to be canceled. That's it. Cancel Andrew.
That's my play.
It's going to be hashtag trending.
Flair. It's not just the Mary Jane. It's the set. You could get these Marvel cards for less than $100 at a PSA 10. They're super cool. There's Wolverine. There's Spider-Man. The photography on those cards is beautiful. Flair does the best photography, in my opinion. Imagery. And I think it's a cool set, and I wanted to have some fun today, so that's my fun.
Listen,
Sorry,
I like
I'm not
it.
sorry.
I like it. So it's funny. I was driving before getting on this episode, and I was listening to New York Sports Talk Radio. They had our manager Aaron Boone on, and he was answering questions about this recent news about pitchers in baseball, including Garrett Cole, one of his own, using stuff to doctor the ball potentially, and no one's proving anything, but this is in there, and baseball's going to have to comment about it, and it's the reason why people are not hitting as well, and the whole deal, right? So I'm like, at first I thought I was going to come on today and basically pan baseball, right? Just say baseball can't get out of their own way. This is crap. Sell all your baseball cards because they literally just don't know what they're doing. Instead of focusing on their young talent and, Vlad Guerrero and Tatis and Soto and Acuna and what a great year they're having, everybody's talking baseball, but instead what they're talking about is doctoring the ball. And Pete Alonso even came out and made a real, let's say, casted an aspersion on baseball and said something to the effect of that they doctor the ball. The league doctors the ball based on, what the free agent class is. Like if the pitchers are going to get paid, they make the ball juiced so that people hit the ball. Pitchers' numbers are down this way. They don't have to get paid as much. And if it's a year where there's a lot of free agent hitters, they make the ball dead and let the pitchers doctor the ball and let it go. This way the offensive numbers are down. It's like, I don't know that there's any proof to it, but check it out. Pete Alonso, who is a young guy, kind of came out and was like, basically, so I'm like, all right, let me not give my play to be baseball sucks, sell it all, right? So at first I said, let me find somebody who transcends. Let me find somebody who's who's still collectible in baseball. Let's find a Griffey or a Trout or a Pujols or Ichiro. And you know what I did instead? I said, we shouldn't all be crapping on modern base, right? And what you consider modern base. When you hear modern base, everybody just assumes you're talking about Prism Zion and Prism Luca, right? Modern, and I'm talking about 5-10-year-old cards now. Nothing, vintage, obviously modern. It wasn't always like this. It wasn't always mass produced. It's sort of like what you said. If you go back to 05, you didn't have the card companies, you didn't have all this stuff. So my play for today is card MB19 of the 2014 Topps Update Chrome. All right? It is Jacob deGrom. It's deGrom's Topps Chrome. Now, Jacob deGrom, I don't know if he's putting stuff on the ball. I have no idea, and honestly, I don't even care. He's been about as good as a pitcher can be for the last couple of years. And we're talking about generational, transcendent numbers, even though he's not, winning games. And normally I'd say, stay away from pitchers. Stay away from pitchers' cards. But there are pitchers' cards that when the pitcher is good enough and does it long enough and wins the Cy Young as many times as I think deGrom has won and will continue to win, there are still very relevant and expensive cards for pitchers. Nolan Ryan, Sandy Koufax, among many, many others, right? You want to take a guess, given the 20,000 pop of a Zion? You want to take a guess for me how many PSA 9s and PSA 10s there are? The base. I'm not talking about the black refractor. I'm not talking about the gold refractor. I'm talking about base MB19 2014 Topps Chrome. Now, keep in mind, guys, he's going to guess, and I'm going to give you the numbers. This would be considered non-numbered base modern card, right? With pops, and everybody's like, "Oh, stay away! You got to go with RPAs. You got to go with numbered parallels, right? You can't go with those base cards anymore, right? This is a base card. So, give me how many you think there are PSA 10s and how many PSA 9s?
1,100 PSA 10s, 1,000 PSA 9s, and 400 876s. $2,500 pop report.
Yeah, and even if that were the case, 2,500, I'd be like, that is great. All right. So what if I were to tell you you're 10 times too high, and that the entire pop report only has 287 of them graded, 199 10s and 83 9s total graded cards.
It's a high gem rate. It's a high gem rate.
Yeah, which is good because I'll tell you, look at the $135 raw ones. $135 raw. You want a PSA 9? $250. Right? Easy stuff. Easy stuff. And there's plenty of raw ones. You probably buy a lot of them. This is eBay pricing, by the way. You know, you find somebody who's got a couple of them on Facebook or wherever it might be. You probably might be able to get them cheaper. But yeah, I looked at the pop report and I'm like, wait a second. Really? That's it? Just there's less than 200 PSA 10s? There's only 83 PSA 9s? I go with a 9 for $100-something. Why the hell not?
Why does baseball spend so much time shitting on themselves instead of like DeGrom what he's doing is incredible. They should be making a documentary about this guy
right now during the season. 100%.
I mean, he was a shortstop.
I know. We've talked about DeGrom, but it was less about DeGrom. You know, we talked about how he's a movie, how he's great. This I was shocked about the pop on this because all we hear about is don't buy base cards. So this episode is you can still buy base cards, right? But check the pop report first. You know what I mean? Not every modern base card has thousands of them out there. It's only 287 of these graded in total. I feel bad for the one poor person that got a 6.
The whole base card thing is fascinating because the same people that say don't buy base cards are probably the ones that are holding LeBron Topps Chrome PSA 10, which is a base card.
Yep, 100%.
It's fascinating.
The majority of my collection is base cards. Joe Montana, Michael Jordan, Jerry Rice. They're all base cards.
I just think it's important to understand the behavior of a base card versus an RPA versus a parallel. It's not one or the other is better as an investment. It's just you as an investor. Like I like base because I love liquidity. I like knowing that I could get out and in and out of a card at any moment. You can't do that same thing with an RPA or even with a really short number parallel, right? So no, I love the play. And DeGrom's he's a phenom. What he's doing is absolute insanity. I wish baseball would get on the hype train and spread a little bit more optimism.
Yeah, I mean, look at what some of these guys are doing, man. Check out what the numbers some of these guys are. We're like 60-ish games into the season. So, you know, we're about like the 40% mark. You're going to, you know, at 80 games or so, you wind up at the halfway mark. And you're going to see Tatis might be 20-20, maybe even 25-25 at the midway part. You know, the midway mark. I mean, like it's just like the stuff that's being done, even in a year where everybody's talking about how the pitchers have an advantage and that numbers are down. There are certain guys who are putting up numbers that are like, you have to open your eyes, and yet you don't hear about it. Instead, the only time you get press in baseball is when it's something bad. Who's rubbing pine tar on the balls? Who's scuffing the balls? Who, you know, how did this person's spin rate go down? Who's got a buzzer under their jersey? You know, who's banging garbage pails? You know what I mean? Like, it's just amazing because, I mean, you don't hear about it in other sports. I mean, there are people out there who hate LeBron. I mean, you may know one of them when you look in the mirror. But besides that, you know, I mean, you know, what was the last thing people said bad about the sport of basketball? Seriously. No, now the questions being asked of Aaron Boone are, if the opposing team goes out there tonight and says, I need to check the pitcher, check the balls, before he even throws a pitch, check his hat, check the brim of his hat, what are you doing? Are you going to use more challenges against their pitchers? Are you like, okay, are we going to play a game? Like, is there going to be a sport? You know, is somebody going to hit a home run here? Or are we all just going to like have the referees, have the umpires go out there and start checking everybody's balls? There's a sentence for you.
I'm with it. Any final words before we wrap?
Yeah, check out my cardboard relevant from yesterday. I want to say thank you. I want to say like an awesome shout out to our Luca Nation Space Jam group. You guys take a bow. And all of our groups, but the Space Jam group, they got me, you know, they got me up last night to watch, to do another cardboard relevant. It was just some cool stuff. It made me feel like a kid collecting cards again. You know, on the block where everybody's helping each other out. I'm building this set, you're building that set. All right, I got a couple cards from here. I got a couple cards from there. Someone was building a Flair, you know, row 1 set. And they were missing a couple cards. They dropped the checklist, and somebody, of course, was like, I think I may have one. Let me check when I get home. And they get home, and they found the Rodman. And they're like, just send me your address. Done. And I'm sure that kind of stuff happens all over the place. but it's not flashy, right? You don't hear about it in all the content you're talking about. You know, it's not a headline grabber. It's not a Babe Ruth card from 1914. It's not, check out what I'm breaking. I'm breaking this fan, but we should start paying more attention. It's what you say about the positivity, right? That's the kind of stuff that would keep me in the hobby. Because that's the human interest story here. You know what I mean? It's the camaraderie, it's the community. So I did a little cardboard relevant about that yesterday, and people seem to like it. And I mean, I meant every word that I said. I mean, I don't care if you buy things that go up or down. I want them all to go up, but I want you to know that if you happen to be buying things that are not going up to the moon at the timetable you want, well, guess what? Half the fun of being in this is, being a little patient, watching, building a set, building a community, finding some friends. I mean, we got somebody, it's like, oh, you coming to the National? I'll host the dinner. I'll do that, like, who's coming? Like, I live near the event. Like, I could give rides. That's cool stuff. You know what I mean? That's the like I said, the human interest side of this stuff. That's the, that's the stuff I'm here for. This is the content I'm here for. So, a big thank you to you guys and anybody out there listening to this. We have a lot of groups, but we have a lot more people who listen than are in those groups. If you listen to this, if this is your first week or your 40th week with us, and you're like, I've thought about reaching out, send us a message. We'll get you in a group. We'll start a new group. Because this is the part of the hobby that I enjoy the most. That's my only little final point. What do you got?
Bucks got blown out the last 2 games, and now they're at home. Guess what the spread is?
The Bucks are at home for Game 3. I would bet the Nets are favored by 6.5 points.
The Bucks are favored by 3.5 points.
No way. So I get that from hey, defend your home turf, and they're a good team, and all that other fun stuff. But who's the Bucks leadership that's going to sit there in the locker room today and tell them we haven't lost yet? Because to me, I think the Bucks are already playing golf.
I'm with you, but how much of a mind fuck is like betting? Like, think about that. You see a team get blown out twice, one time by 50 points, and they come home and they're favored by 3.5. And not only that, here's a quote. Darren Rovell tweeted this: "The Sharps are on Milwaukee minus the points. The Masters are all over Brooklyn. This game has the potential to be our biggest decision of the NBA playoffs so far. I think we're going to need the Bucks and the under pretty big."
Listen, if there's one thing I've learned is that if I think it's going to go one way from a betting perspective,
it goes
I'm
the other.
usually very wrong unless I don't bet. Then I'm like, I bet 1,000. If I'm thinking something but don't have money on it, I'm always right. So all you need for the Bucks to win is somebody bet me. I'll bet the Nets, and the Bucks are a shoo-in. So it's hard to go against the Sharps. It really is. But you know what the other thing is? The Nets could also be, saying, we went up two games to none. We know we could take this team out. Let's get healthy. Let's take a break. Let's take a breather. Let's not. LeBron does it all the time. These guys, they take time off. It's load management. I could see it. I don't know why they wouldn't just close them out in 4 and rest from there. But strange things have happened. You can have the Nets come out and just really put up a piss poor showing. You got to imagine the Milwaukee crowd's going to be into it, right? You
got to imagine. I always find it interesting when you see a line like this that just makes you go like, what the F? Like, how is this a line?
That's things that make you go, mm-hmm. What was that, Arsenio Hall, CNC Music Factory? Yes? No? You know
that's another episode, Luca Nation. Thank you guys for staying tuned. See you tomorrow.